So I made a whole video, like a 25-minute video, just kind of just talking to G-Man and just uh, just whatever, just saying my piece. But then I just wasn't satisfied, so I'm just making a whole brand new video with another day's rest and another day of contemplation and trying to understand what happened. And I'm glad I did, because I think this is going to turn out a little bit better than I initially thought, or than my first video. So, everybody's mad at G-Man, Christians and atheists alike, and I don't blame them. I was too, because I defended him. I tried to say that, yeah, I thought he was legit. I thought he was serious. I said I was about 80% sure he was, and 20%, kind of skeptical. And, I tried to defend him. I'd always said, as much as we thought G-Man was intellectually dishonest, he's always been honest about his position and his belief. So, being that he's a quote-unquote true Christian, why would he lie? I mean, surely he's seen what happens with Brett Keane, where he goes back and forth with atheism to Christianity and how people perceive him. Surely he wouldn't do something like that. Well, I was wrong. So, there's that. But I think people are taking, well, at least the atheists are taking it too far. Christians I can understand. I was watching Veckel and Shannon, really just lay into G-Man, showing scripture saying that what he was doing was wrong. And, Shannon's, bawling her eyes out practically, and you don't even have to really see her camera to know what's happening. And G-Man just seemed to, not care, because he was like, I'm telling you guys, I promise, as soon as the atheists come in, where you're going to see the fruits of the labor, and, whatever. It was, it reminded me, I don't know if anybody here watches Burn Notice, that TV show that was on USA, and the guy was a spy, but he was a good spy, and he was doing good things to get back in good graces, and then toward the end, he had the opportunity to have, a whole bunch of power, and he just started going, mad, he was just like, I'm going to do things my way, he just started going off in this tangent, and G-Man did the same thing. You're saying that atheists are, they're always making these bad arguments. They're misrepresenting Christians like us out there. And you know what the Christians are doing? They're doing nothing. And he's just yelling. And, and then Shannon's just crying. And she's just like, oh, man, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to be the good guy. Well, actually, Fiona said that, I think. But Shannon sounded a lot like Fiona. And so that's all I could think about. And then, of course, Bible-thumping Wingnut came in and just... when Bible Thumping Wingnut said, how do I know if you're acting? I was listening to that conversation and I just stopped. My world collapsed around me. I developed tunnel vision and I just stopped what I was doing because the question was so good. And all I could hear in the background were people like an And1 video going, oh, oh, and like, oh, snap, and just get all excited because I felt like Tim, Bible Thumping Wingnut, totally made probably one of the best points that you can make is for somebody that's, supposed to be a Christian, he's definitely not acting like a Christian would. He's not acting like Jesus would have or would have instructed his disciples to do. And I'm saying this from a person that was a former believer for 15 years. So I at least kind of have an understanding of what's going on and know that that was not right. But this has all been covered 1,900 times, and so I want to cover the parts that just, why did he do this? And, he talked about he was trying to defeat the no true Scotsman fallacy. Now, here is what G-Man was trying to say. And, it took me about a few times and really just trying to think like G-Man and understanding G-Man and what was he trying to say. He was trying to say that, he was going to come out as an atheist. And then he knew that some atheists were going to say, no, G-Man's probably not an atheist. And that was his proof for the no true Scotsman fallacy. But see, there's a problem with that. And we tried, or I say we, Hog Tie Champion and a couple of others tried to point it out. But there is a conflation going on, a problem with the definitions and terms. So I kind of want to see if I can break this down. Now, when we say somebody is a Christian, overall, when we say somebody, acts like a Christian or is a Christian, we most of the time are have that possibility of the kind of the definition, somebody that follows the doctrine of Jesus and the Bible and things like that. A very generic term, especially, when they do all these polls. Are you a Christian? It's a very generic term. Most people really think that they are, a Christian. But then there is the true Christian with a capital T. True Christian that, and this may not be the proper term, but this is kind of the emphasis of how Christians like Gman, Veckel, True Empiricism, or anybody that feels that they are a true Christian, they separate themselves. There's Christians, those people out there that say they follow God, but they're not as good as I am or as others are. They differentiate from themselves from others, and they call it's more of the true Christian. Now, and I want to say that there's kind of two ways it goes. They either say that there's people that claim themselves to be Christians but really aren't true Christians, so there's a differentiation. Or if you're not a true Christian, then you're not a Christian at all. And there's those two ways that people see Christians. I have a feeling that G-Man is more of the latter. That if you're not a true Christian, then you're not a Christian at all. You don't have any right to call yourself a Christian by any stretch of the imagination. Which makes sense by the way that he defends that Hitler was not a Christian. Because he wasn't a true Christian, or his definition of Christian, obviously Hitler wasn't a Christian. When most people are arguing, that he was the other Christian, because it seems there's Christian and there's that subset of true Christian, that Hitler was more of the other Christian. As far as the Hitler thing goes, I don't really give a fuck if Hitler was an atheist or a Christian. He was still playing the field. He was using it for political matters. So whether Hitler was an atheist or a Christian, it doesn't matter. If he was an atheist, oh well. Point out that it doesn't really matter if he was an atheist or not, because what he did was not for atheism. He did it for his own goals or whatever. He didn't do it in the name of atheism. That's the only point that matters. All right, but I'm moving on from there. So let's get back to G-Man. Now, G-Man, being the true Christian, now can look at a Christian and say, well, this person calls himself Christian, but he's not a true Christian. According to the Bible, according to the scriptures and everything, I don't think this guy is a true Christian. So he thinks to himself, maybe if I come out as an atheist, somebody, and all of the atheists out there, they're going to look at that and think, G-Man obviously is not a true atheist. But that's not how we saw this. We saw this as maybe G-Man is not truly an atheist. There is a strong difference. The term true, the capital T true that you're putting in front of Christian to help differentiate yourself, applies to Christianity, because there's obviously like a deeper subset, qualities that only true Christians have. The idea that there is a true atheism is nonsensical, because when it comes to atheism, you're either an atheist or not. There's no subset of atheism that's like, oh, he's a real or true atheist. There's just one definition to atheism, because it's all about one thing. So it's nonsensical. So you cannot equate an atheist looking at G-Man's conversion and thinking, I don't think he's truly an atheist, and conflate that to saying, I don't think G-Man is a true, capital T, atheist. So it's this conflation and just almost a making up of true atheism, at least in his head. It may have not come up with the title true atheism, but that's where he was trying to go. This conflation is why his argument falls apart, and this is why it's not convincing. This is why it will never work. So hopefully, G-Man, you see this. I hope you understand why this argument fails. And maybe somebody has pointed out similar to this on some of your other hangouts. I haven't watched them all. I watched the first hour and a half of your other one. The first one you did where you came out and said you weren't an atheist, and then you're doing another one right now as I'm recording. I didn't even bother to start watching that. So I hope this helps, or hope this helps anybody else understand this whole true Christian that knows true Scotsman fallacy. But so let's move on from there. But I want to address this whole idea about not being able to trust G-Man. I can understand why everybody feels this way. I mean, he just lied to everybody, and he calls it acting. And of course, hundreds of people have said it. You know, he tried to bring up whole Left Behind series, and we know that they were acting. Well, yeah, because it was a movie, and we knew that it was a movie watching it. It's not like we really thought it was happening as we were watching it, sitting, you know, popping it into our DVD, or the DVDs back then when Left Behind came out. VHS, for sure. Oh my God, is it really that old? I just saw somebody reading it today. I mean, literally today, somebody is reading it. Like, that's old. I mean, I remember watching it or reading that. Oh my God. All right, anyways, moving on. So, but do I, should I say that G-Man is a liar? And I'm just asking this because from seeing the title. I still think that G-Man is intellectually dishonest. And I think that when he hears a new piece of information that he just dismisses it outright. And then, because I know that I've had to say things multiple times to him. I have a feeling what I'm about to say will probably have to be said to him again like 9 times before he gets it. And he may never. But I don't think that G-Man, because he performed this stunt, this, fake deconversion, that we should never trust what he says again. I think that is jumping the gun. Yes, I'm kind of pissed off at G-Man, but I don't say that he's a liar any more than he was before. I just think he just did something really, really stupid. And I hope he learned his lesson. But according to the video, he did talk about that, the next time that he does this, and he's going to do it better, which, right. But, I think anybody that says they can't trust G-Man, I think that's probably not the best way about it. If you don't like the guy for it, fine. I don't blame you at all. But to say that he's not trustworthy for anything, no. And I'm hoping that anybody out there that is an atheist that listens to what G-Man has done does not think that this is how all Christians behave. There are plenty of great Christians and things. Even G-Man himself, he is not a bad guy at all. Yes, I disagree with him on like so many things that he says. But just on this talk about atheism and Christianity. But there's more to us than that. There's more to this world than the Christianity-atheist debate. And there's more to Christianity than this one stunt that G-Man has done. And I think if there's anybody that is going to change their view on Christians on this one thing, then I'm just going to say right here, you're doing it wrong. You can't do that. So, I may avoid G-Man for a while. I don't know. I don't know how I personally feel about, being in a room with the guy right now, because I'm still kind of tweaked about this whole thing. But I just wanted to cover that. I think I wanted people to better understand what G-Man was trying to say, because he was doing a really bad job of explaining it himself. And I wanted the atheist a better understanding from, or a better critique from it, and how to see what was going on inside of his head, more than just his argument. But most importantly, I want to relay this to G-Man, is that your fellow believers, your fellow brethren and sistren, is that a word, sistren? In Christ, and I was watching the Bible Thumping Wingnut and Matthew 4:19, talking about this today, and even they're like, yeah, that's not gonna work. This is this was a botched attempt, and the argument doesn't add up. And Brett Keane and Richard Raspberry are like, yeah, this is a bad idea too. And when people like Richard Raspberry and Brett Keane are the voices of reason, then you fucked up, G-Man. But G-Man, I love you all the same. Yes, I'm a little bit mad at you right now, and whatever. But I support you in general. I hope that more discussions will make in these failures and these flops will teach you to be a better apologetic. So, anyways, this is the Atheist Chef signing off. Peace. Him. Surely he wouldn't do something like that. Well, I was wrong. So, there's that. But I think people are taking, well, at least the atheists are taking it too far. Christians I can understand. I was watching Veckel and Shannon, really just lay into G-Man. Sure he was, and 20%, kind of skeptical, and I try to defend him. I'd always said, as much as we thought G-Man was intellectually dishonest, he's always been honest about his position and his beliefs. So, being that he's a quote-unquote true Christian, why would he lie? I mean, surely he's seen what happens with Brett Keane, where he goes back and forth with atheism and Christianity and how people... So I made a whole video, like a 25-minute video, just kind of just talking to G-Man and, just whatever, just saying my piece. But then I just wasn't satisfied, so I'm just making a whole brand new video of another day's rest and another day of, contemplation and trying to understand what happened. And I'm glad I did, because I think this is going to turn out a little bit better than I initially thought, or than my first video. So, everybody's mad at G-Man. Christians and atheists alike, and I don't blame them. I was too, because I defended him. I tried to say that, I thought he was legit. I thought he was serious. I said I was about 80%. I was showing scripture saying that what he was doing was wrong. And, Shannon's, bawling her eyes out practically, and you don't even have to really see her camera to know what's happening. And G-Man just seemed to, not care, because he was like, I'm telling you guys, I promise, as soon as the atheists come in, where you're going to see the fruits of the labor, and, whatever. It was, it reminded me,